Alexa, tell me a joke.
What do you call a camel with no hump? Humphrey.
All right, well, to set up a Alexa on your Raspberry Pi, other than the things that you're going to need for normal Raspberry Pi setup, you need a USB microphone, like one of these guys. Any USB microphone will do really, really good, but this is the one that you see in a lot of tutorials, a lot of examples online. And you're also going to need a pair of speakers, or a speaker of some kind. It'll need to be powered to be loud enough to be audible. A Bluetooth speaker works great if it has a 3.5 mm audio, auxiliary input. I'm just grabbing these guys off of Amazon. And once you have your USB mic and your 3.5 mm speaker, you're going to want to plug those into your Raspberry Pi before you get started on the rest of this. The first thing you need to do is to open a browser window and go to developer.amazon.com. Once you're on developer.amazon.com, you may need to register for an account or otherwise log in with your amazon.com credentials. Once you're on the page, click Alexa, Alexa Voice Services, and click Register a Product. I'm going to click Edit because I already set this up. On this page, you'll create a device type ID and a display name. We'll come back to this, but there's your security profile for some credentials that you're going to need. And in web services, this is really important. Click Edit, and for allowed origins, enter https://localhost:3000. And for allowed return URLs, type https://localhost:3000/auth response. That text will be in the description of this video. Once you're all set, hit save. Go to device details and set category as other. It's not tremendously important, doesn't actually impact anything. And device capabilities has display cards, which will become relevant in the future. It's not impactful to this install, but for future features, you may as well just enable it. The next thing we're going to do is CD into desktop, and then we're going to clone down the GitHub repositories. So we're going to type git clone and the URL for the repo. I'll put that URL in the video description. The next thing we're going to do is CD into the new Alexa directory, and we're going to open up our text editor on the Alexa automated install.sh file. If the product ID, client ID, and client secret look familiar, that's because they should. Those were the fields that we said we would come back to on the developer.amazon.com page. The next thing we're going to do is delete your product ID, go to the developer.amazon page and copy the product ID and paste it in. You'll then do the same thing for client ID and client secret. Just delete the default values out of the startup script and paste in your client ID and client secret from developer.amazon.com. When you're all done, hit Ctrl+X to exit your text editor, then Y and enter to save your changes. Next, you'll type !automated_install.sh to start the install process. Do you accept the terms of service? Yes. Do you have a developer account? Yes. Is this information correct? Yes. Select the local settings, enable audio by 3.5mm jack, and last but not least, enable wake word detection. Now the install is going to run, and this is going to take quite some time. About 30 minutes on a Raspberry Pi 3, close to an hour on a Raspberry Pi 1. Just go ahead and let it run. I'm going to time warp through this thing. Once it's all done, we're going for headless. So to start up the services, you can't do them from the command line because the services will terminate when you close your command line. To do this, you need to open up your VNC server and enter the next set of commands over a VNCViwer. So start a VNC server. Then from your desktop machine, open up VNCViwer and dial into your Raspberry Pi. Then open up your terminal. And open 3 tabs in your terminal. In the first tab, you're going to cd into desktop, alexa-avs-sample-apps /samples. And then you're cd into companion services. And enter npm start. Once it says listening port 3000, you're done here, and you go to the next tab. In this one, you cd into the same desktop Alexa samples app /samples. And then you cd into Java client and execute mvn.xxxxx. This is going to take a minute, but it's going to open up a browser window and have you log into your Amazon developer account. The next part can be a little tricky because the browser window doesn't always launch. If a browser window doesn't pop, you're going to need to copy that localhost URL and then open the browser in your Raspberry Pi and paste that into the address bar. Once that's been accomplished, you're going to log into your Amazon account. And then select OK. You know the process worked if it says device tokens ready, and you go back to the Java, you click OK, and the bearer token shows up with the string from the other window. At this point, you can play with the Alexa functions. You can click listen, and that will trigger the Alexa, but it will not have the voice trigger ready. You have to do that in this next step. So come back to terminal and open up your third window. Next, we're going to do the same thing as the first two steps. We're going to cd into desktop, then the alexa-avs-samples-app /samples directory. And then we're going to cd into wake word agent. Then cd in src. And then you can open up, there's 2 different wake word engines, Sensory and kit_AI. I'm just going to run Sensory, it's always worked great for me. And let that run. Once it's done, and it says connected AVS client, it's ready to accept the trigger word. So at this point, you could say the word Alexa. You'll see the words, some scripts pass by in your terminal window, and you'll see the Alexa Voice Service Java app in your VNC trigger with the keyword. That means you're all done. That means it worked, and you're all set. Assuming you've got a speaker plugged into your 3.5 millimeter port and a USB microphone plugged into your USB port, you should have a nearly fully functional Amazon Alexa Raspberry Pi and AlexaPi.